breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igoe on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igoe.
Into this Friday, August 25th edition of Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube, live on the IBX Media app. Give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube. We're continuing to get those numbers up for our live stream interaction. You got a question, comment, anything, drop it there. Tweet at us. We'll get to it on today's show. It is a Joey Football Friday. That's what we're going to call it from now on. Joe Samson, former ECU football player / athlete, is back for a second week. He has not been fired yet. So
Let's go.
It's good to be back, right?
Yeah, huge day for the boys if I'm still sitting in this chair. So we made it.
We made it back. We apparently it's Painted Blue Friday. We're all wearing a different shade of blue. Philip Pilkington behind the glass, he's got blue on as well. He's producing once again. Did we coordinate this, Philip, or what's going on here?
I don't know, man. I was wearing my Panther blue because there's a Carolina Panthers game tonight. I guess you guys just, subconsciously got the memo.
Yeah.
I'm going Duke blue. Yours is almost like a bluish greenish.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of like the blue hues, like
Right.
the different tones in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a royal blue person in general. This is the only royal blue shirt I own, and honestly, I don't like it that much. But it's what I picked. It's what I picked today. We are 8 days away from kickoff, guys. 8 days away from kickoff inside the big house. Gerald Green days away.
Yep, Gerald Green days away.
Posted that earlier today. ECU running back. He is number 8. We're continuing that countdown. And you're starting to get that buzz, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Like we'll talk about week 0 here in a second. But, I was out of practice this week, and, it was ramped up. Usually the coaches are kind of having to motivate the players and yell at times during camp. But this week, the players are running around and they're jumping around having a good time.
Yeah, you get excited. I mean, once you get within 14 days of that first game that you're really starting to ramp up and you get your game plan, you get your packet. And just the guys alone are like, okay, it's time to go. There's no more 11-on-11 good versus good where we're kind of beating each other up. It's time to focus on who we're playing, where we need to be, the alignments, the assignments. And for the defense, we're going to talk about today, just flying around the football and having that innate sense to go pursue the carrier and go make a strip or go make a play.
Yeah, so last week we took an in-depth look at the offense. We'll go defense today. We'll get into that in a little bit. I do want to ask you, there's a lot of talk Tuesday. We had media availability with Coach Houston and the coordinators about kind of the really getting the scout team up to speed.
Yeah.
And I know you spent some time on the scout team. So, when you look at, kind of getting that assignment, all right, you're not going to travel at least this week.
Right.
And so, or this part of the season. And Coach Houston kind of talked about for a lot of the freshmen coming in, a lot of the young guys expecting to play, it's kind of a blow to their expectations. So take us through the early days of this week. He said Tuesday was pretty sloppy.
Yeah.
I guess it'll improve.
Usually is, yeah.
Yeah.
So Tuesday, you kind of sit down, and this is no knock on scout team players. I mean, Coach Houston will tell you they're probably more valuable than some of the guys that are sitting on the bus because you truly are the only look they have during the week to kind of get everybody up to speed. Right. But Tuesday's hard because you're thinking you're just going to play a normal cover 4, but they may play inside leverage with their corners in the slot, and all of a sudden Donnie K is kind of telling you, hey, you need to be outside of this. And you're like, this is going against everything I've been fundamentally taught. So your instincts kind of kick in to play football as opposed to kind of follow along on the card or follow along what you saw on the tape. So Tuesday's always sloppy. That's not normal is the best way to put it, I guess, because for you to kind of go in and be a completely different football player is its own battle. So Wednesdays, they really start sharpening it up. Okay, here's what you did wrong. Here's what you did right. And then Thursdays during a game week is all about completions or knowing where you're going to be to stop the football if you're on defense. But now with 2 weeks, it's really interesting because you truly do get that run to get people to where they need to be. So if you're like, hey, we have 2 Tuesdays, next Tuesday, you know what you need to do, you know the tone. And that's really what separates week 0 or week 1 away from any of the other short game weeks.
I asked Coach Houston about kind of the transition there, and with the scout team, and he's like, all right, guys, y'all are supposed to be Michigan, and kind of tongue in cheek. Obviously, they got a long way to go because we don't get to see a lot of the team-on-team prep, but I was parking my car when they were just working first team offense against scout team, and the first play was a Rajay Harris untouched touchdown. The second play was a big Mason Garcia run. The third play was a long touchdown pass to Jalen Johnson. So it looked like there was very little resistance being put up.
Yeah, when it's early like that, they're kind of just, it's alignment, knowing where the ball is supposed to go. And we call it walkthrough. And when you're in walkthrough, you kind of just, okay, ball needs to go here. Here's what the correct read's supposed to be, primary 1 to 2 to 3 to 4.
Right.
Running back, here's the hole, see the cutback lane. So you can't really judge it. Like, yeah, there'll be huge chunk plays in those walkthroughs, but you're kind of told to, all right, tag him as he goes by, but
right.
Don't trip him up. Like, don't make a play on the ball, let him catch it. Don't make the contested catch, and all those things like on the other side of it. So it's hard to tell from that, but yeah, there's very little resistance in the beginning part of the practice, but it starts to ramp up truly when you get to team period or scouts versus scouts.
Joe Samson is with us. We got a couple comments on YouTube. I don't know if these are plant comments or fake. If it's Philip behind the glass, it's coming up with pseudonyms. But Robert Dedrick says, really enjoying these lunchtime shows. Stephen, keep up the good work. Thank you, Robert.
There we go.
For tuning in. Pirate 2031 says, these shows are so good.
Ooh.
What's the schedule next week? I tell you what.
That's a great question.
That's a great question. I do know that Joe Samson will be back next Friday.
I will.
Unless he gets fired between now and the end of the show. Which is
time left.
It's just anything is possible. You never know, given some things going on. But, hey, I think that's a little inside joke. But, hey, Pirate 2031, what I can tell you for next week. All right, Joe's going to be here Friday. I'll actually be traveling to Michigan at that time, but we're going to record the show ahead of time. Thursday, we're going to have Bobby Harward back. He's going to be back Thursday because we're having to bump him from Wednesday to Thursday because Cliff Godwin is going to be in studio for the whole hour next Wednesday. I know it's not baseball season, but we're going to talk a lot of off-season baseball stuff and maybe get his thoughts on Michigan. Also efforting to get Macy O'Donnell, new sideline reporter, potentially on Tuesday. Tuesday's show, we'll see if we can get him in, former teammate and position roommate of Joe Samson.
Slots, baby.
And we're going to have Philip with us on Monday. We're going to have a Michigan beat writer from 24/7 Sports join us as well. So there's an early look. Still piecing it together for next week, but there's the early look at next week. All right. Jim Harbaugh is self-imposing. I guess Michigan is self-imposing a suspension for the first 3 games, and that has gone final. It's been back and forth all off season.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Phil, do we have the cut from Mike Houston ready? Okay, we do. So let's play Mike Houston's thoughts on Jim Harbaugh, his suspension earlier this week from Tuesday.
I don't know. This kind of went back and forth, and I think it's kind of silly, to be honest. I mean, if you want to punish him, figure it out in the off season. Quit going back and forth like this. So I hope he is on the sideline. You know, he's going to coach throughout the week. I don't think it's going to make a significant difference one way or the other on game day. He has a staff that's been with him for a while. His offensive coordinator's been there. A couple of guys on the offensive staff have been there. So, you know, they'll have the game plan and I'm sure do a great job of running it. So, but you know, I'd just assume he'd be across the field.
There's Mike Houston, says he would rather just go up against Jim Harbaugh, and wouldn't expect him to say anything else on the record. I don't know how much this is really going to impact the game, if at all, Joe. Your thoughts, I guess as a former player, how weird would it be to have your coach you all week like Jim Harbaugh is going to do, but then on game day just not be a part of it?
I think it's a difficult thing to kind of look at because in theory, your head coach is not necessarily as big of a part of the game plan. Once you get to game day, he's not in and out with the sideline adjustments. He's not calling the plays if he's not like a true offensive play caller like a Lane Kiffin or one of those guys who has the sheet, or Lincoln Riley. But there's a presence. You kind of know he's going to call for you. He's talking to the ref. He's like, hey, this guy's been holding the whole night. You need to see him. He's got some contact going on with defense as far as receivers can't get open. So it's very interesting to see how the atmosphere will feel if it's more relaxed, if it's more kind of stuck up and stern because you're worried that you don't have that leader with them. But I think it's kind of cowardly, if I may, because, you know, you've gone back and forth. You've said you've done nothing wrong. Like, there's no issues you've done. Nothing's been one of those bad things. And all of a sudden they say, okay, like, you're fine. Like, there's nothing bad going on. And then you're like, you know what? Maybe there's something we didn't tell you.
Right.
What if I sit out these 3 games myself and you guys just look the other way? And so it's kind of telling as far as and I don't want to insinuate or pass judgment on any program, but from the outside looking in, it really does look like he's like, there might be something going on. Maybe we'll just take this one on the nose here for the first couple games and kind of take a knee and run into the Big Ten conference games coming up. So I'm kind of torn with how I feel about it.
And then as a player, like, to me, if I'm East Carolina, I'm looking at it as, hey, Jim Harbaugh and Michigan are not worried at all about ECU, and I think it's UNLV and whatever game after that. So they're pretty much saying, hey, we can win this game. We don't need our head coach. We'll go ahead and let him serve the suspension. So to me, I would – and again, I'm trying to spin everything I can because I'm in the media. But, like, I feel like in the locker room, y'all have to use it as well, right? Is it extra motivation?
Yeah, it's definitely extra motivation. This is the same program that last year ran out 2 different quarterbacks against Hawaii, and I'm not sure the other game. And we're like, you know what? The preseason games, we're going to find our starting quarterback. We're going to see how they do under pressure. So this is a team that historically, especially in the last 10 years during the Harbaugh era, has not really cared too much about the big, bad Power 5 and really just doesn't care about the non-Power 5s either, and they're just kind of, you know what, but, App State did the same thing way back when, and we're still talking about that game. So I hope for Michigan's sake they respect their opponent, but also to the guys in the locker room, you know exactly what they're saying.
Yeah, I think it becomes more of a factor maybe if East Carolina is able to keep the game close, and then if you're Michigan, that maybe that doubt starts creeping in your head. Hey, we don't have our head coach to look towards. And
right.
To me, like, as I kind of see it as the team often takes the personality of the head coach. So, like, you want your head coach to be stoic on the sideline, not yelling at the referees and losing his mind. And, like, Coach Houston does a really good job of, he'll get mad, but he's going to keep it, calm for the most part. And I think ECU's team reflects that. So I think if ECU can keep it close, maybe if you get into the second half, then all of a sudden you're like, well, we don't have Harbaugh. Maybe things are just a little bit off today, and then it starts to trickle down from there. I did want to ask you, too, we know about Coach Houston's pregame speeches. What's it like being in the locker room when he's up in front of y'all giving one of those?
You know, as soon as he's like everybody up, he takes the hat off, and he tells you, he's like, I love you guys. Like, I love this bunch. Let's go. Expletive here, some tail. And you just know, like, the intensity shifts. Like, he's telling you everything you've been hearing all in practice. Like, 4 quarters, it's a dogfight. It's a heavyweight battle. Who's going to win in the 10th round? And you know he's ready to go to war, the same way you are once you run through that smoke like it's game time. And then you hear, if you're at home, you hear Kickstart My Heart, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, yeah. Right. Now it's time to go, and he's just stoic, calm, stone-faced, and you're like, oh, he's locked in. Like, he knows exactly what he's going to do. There's no worries or any kind of issues that he's like, yeah, maybe we're not. No, he knows.
He is Joe Samson. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll jump into our defensive preview. We'll go through each position, look at many of the transfers, talk about the returning guys. A lot of guys going to see bigger roles this year. We'll get into that on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors, 94.3 The Game. We'll be right back.
A huge selection of new Toyotas is ready to go at Greenville Toyota. Rush in for the one you want before it's gone. Camrys, just $269 a month. RAV4s, ready to go for just $289 a month. Now at Greenville Toyota.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
At GoEco, we don't just supply the office space. We create solutions for any environment. Our state-of-the-art commercial-grade video display is perfect for watching film with the team. From film study to the field, elevate your game with GoEco.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
New Toyotas are ready to go at Greenville Toyota. Shop a huge selection with new inventory arriving daily. Don't see what you want? We'll find it or order it for you. Plus, fresh trades are rolling in and ready to go for delivery today. Rush to Greenville Toyota.
Here there be pirates. Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igoe. How good is this? On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into Hoist the Colors. August 25th, 8 days away from kickoff. ECU, Michigan. Hard to believe that we are this close. And next week will be game week. And we got week 0 coming up, by the way. We'll get into that discussion later. Let's jump into the ECU defense. The people want to know about the Pirate defense. Let me make sure we don't got any questions. We got somebody says kind of unlike Dana. I guess he's talking about Dana Holgerson. Maybe we missed something there. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
Dana Holgerson used to talk crap about ECU. So either way, all right, defensive line. This defense, Joe, this is the one group that has basically been here the whole time.
Yeah.
And you've basically grown up with some of these guys. So, I mean, we can get into the names. Chad Stevens, J.D. Lampley's now playing some defensive end. Before we get into kind of all the names individually, just your thoughts on this group and how much they are the backbone of this defense.
I mean, it starts up front, and that's what every coach tells you, and you want to establish the run and stop the run, but it truly does stop up front. I mean, they've got some huge run stoppers, and we've heard Elijah Morris's name now for 3 years. When he came in as a walk-on true freshman and started in that first game, and we were like, wow, like, where'd he come from? We knew, Fayetteville. Jason Shuford is another huge force just in the middle that is an immovable object as far as that goes. I mean, true two-gapper. And then Big Tay, I mean, he needs no introduction. We know what he is, the Joker. I mean, I've never seen a man squat that much weight and laugh about it, but that's just the kind of guy he is. So this is truly like the backbone. And then the new guys with C.J. Mims and J.D. Lampley and all these other guys coming in are truly like establishing this defensive front that cannot be moved around, cannot be pushed around, cannot be stopped.
So y'all call Tay Big Joker?
We call him Big Tay. He calls himself the Joker.
The Joker.
He's got a
Big Tay.
Yeah, Big Tay.
So because he is always smiling and laughing.
Always laughing.
So I feel like, and two, he's always like body slamming running backs too in the games. Like, is that his thing now?
That's his thing.
I don't want him to get penalized for it, so I want him to be careful. But I think there was multiple games last year. He was like picking dudes up and slamming the guy.
Ref comes over and is like, Coach Houston, gotta tell 56 you can't do that. And Houston was like, listen, I'm not telling him. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, the ref should be relaying that message.
Yeah.
Just want to get your take on kind of the versatility of this defensive line. Like, we've seen Elijah Morris play nose tackle in the past, but he's kind of leaned out now, moving around. J.D. Lampley almost looks like an outside linebacker this year.
Yeah.
He's lost a ton of weight. But you still got the big guys inside. We talked about Deontay, Shuford. I know McIver's a little banged up right now. He's going to play. C.J. Mims is a big boy. Chad Stevens is back on the edge. Eric Doctor has had a really good offseason. So your thoughts on kind of the, we'll see Morris like line up inside. We'll see him line up on the edge. Same thing with Lampley. And those guys are always moving around.
Yeah. I mean, they teach it, and the offense is the same way. We teach concepts. We don't teach positions. And Coach Tesh has done a really good job of that ever since he took over the D tackles, teaching stunts without letters. And what I mean by that is the nose and the tackle are synonymous. So if on one set of stunts the nose is supposed to loop out, he doesn't put the end, he just puts the stunt, and he's like, okay, whoever's there, whatever number, you have to know both sides. And Coach Douse does a good job at doing it as well with those guys that kind of bounce around, and now J.D. Lampley's kind of doing that and playing both of those, but they teach true defensive concepts and the TE stunts or the NT stunts or even the nose loop around with a double stunt in with a long stick. And all those different things that you kind of see from this defense because they move around so much, which is what Harrell tries to do and keep these offenses off guard. But they truly do just understand everybody has a role and everybody needs to do everything at once in order to succeed.
So did you ever play the rush?
Yes.
Okay, so you played the rush, And you played D tackle, right? So you played both.
I played it all. Played nose,
because I know we went through all the positions last week.
And rush, all on that line in a season. Actually, that was.
So not to get too into the weeds as far as like what you are trying to accomplish, because I don't want to give away. Michigan's watching. Let's just say it.
Right.
Jim Harbaugh is sitting here. He's watching right now.
He's watching Joey football.
He's probably mad about Joey football. Talking about him taking his own 3-game suspension. Well-deserved comments, by the way. So. Like the biggest difference between rush is obviously you're standing up on the edge and you can drop into coverage more. So take us through Jeremy Lewis. Like what's his biggest responsibility in most of those instances when he's trying to decipher coverage versus rush, or does he have a play call he's got to stick to?
So it's a play call most of the times, but I mean Jeremy is just so gifted in understanding, because he's a former offensive guy, when they're supposed to run, when they're supposed to pass, and kind of knows what they're supposed to do before they do. So he kind of has a little bit of freedom where he can check out of it and be like, you know what, like scoot the front left, like I'm going to rush this one, or I'm going to drop into this. But his job description is to wreak havoc, and he does a great job at doing that no matter where he is. If he's lined up over the nose in a true stack like a 3-3, or if he's lined up in a wide 7 or a wide 9, if there's a tight end, and like he just kind of, wherever he is, where he is. Jack Powers does the same thing. I mean, we talked at length last year about like the kind of impact he was going to have special teams wise, but he's a tremendous pass rusher, and that's what he's going to bring this year. Just the two of them kind of tandem, and then once you put Chad with his hand in the dirt and his ability to drop back as a former linebacker, also, there's just so much versatility in order to cover that running back coming out of the flat and man, or just the ability to drop in the middle hole and kind of take the weight off of those linebackers who can drop into the hashes, and that's really what's going to separate them this year.
So I get asked all the time, what scheme does ECU run defensively? And I'm like, man, I've asked Blake Harrell, and I don't even think he knows, because I guess I would term it as a 4-2-5.
Yeah.
Like a multiple 4-2-5, because it's also a 3-4.
Yes.
Based upon like where the linebackers are.
It could also be a 3-3-5 if we needed to, because the Sam goes out and he covers number 2 if it's 3-by-1.
So it truly is multiple.
Yeah, it's true multiple front, and that's what he tells you. We have multiple different packages and all these different things, and you've seen the crazy exotic blitzes that they roll out there, and all of a sudden Sam Danka's lined up at nose guard and he's running all the way around because he can. So it's just a multiple front. I mean, if you're looking for it in NCAA 14, I don't know if you're going to truly find this playbook.
It's a lot, man. Y'all do a lot, and that's the thing I like most about it, because like Lewis will be standing up but playing basically a true defensive end, or he'll be covering the slot in some instances. So it truly is 4-2-5, 3-4, 3-3-5. Like it can be all of that.
All of them.
So the guy we got to talk about, the X factor to me is Sam Danka or Donka. Danka. All right, 6'5", 220. Like this guy, he looks. And everybody I bring out to practice, like all our interns, they're like, who is 7, man? Like, that dude looks like a beast. And he has the potential to be one. So how do we get Sam Danka doing what we know he can do?
Sam Danka is just a freak. And I don't say that lightly, but just his ability to move at the size he is. I mean, he is all of 6'5". He is a lean 220, but he does not look like he is a skinny guy by any means. Like, he's ridiculous. His twitch is ridiculous. I mean, they've lined him out in the wide 9 over the tight end, like we said, to kind of rush that tackle and beat him to the spot. And there have been times where the tackle can't even get there. They've dropped him back into coverage, and he's so long and lengthy that he kind of defends as a corner, even though he's playing in space like a linebacker. He truly is like the X factor that Michigan and every other team needs to just circle into, like, how do we stop number 7 from disrupting things, especially if you can get him on the field at the same time as Big Tay and Elijah Morris and Jeremy Lewis and even Taylor Jackson in the middle, who can kind of cause some havoc with that too. Or when you blitz Tegan Wilk, all of a sudden Sam Danka can drop back and cover where he was. And that's the thing that people are kind of had question marks about, like, who are these new kids coming in, and there's something.
I mean, that's the thing is like Danka, to me, no, he hasn't played a lot, but in terms of ceiling, higher than many ECU defensive players in the past have had, and it's just a matter of how it all comes together. And look, he'll make mistakes if he plays, because all young players do.
Right.
And it's just a matter of, to me, this defense, we'll get into some of the new transfers and everybody, but they have so much more length and speed, and I think it's just a matter of how it all comes together. I got a couple questions. Robert, this is kind of good to ask while we're talking about the defensive front. Robert says, will Michigan focus on their run game more than they want to this year because of the coaching situations? He says transfer tackles, center, and unproven receivers. Specifically, basically he's asking will they run more against ECU? And then Phil says, if I am Michigan, I am testing our passing D until we prove we fix the secondary, which if I'm Michigan, I'm going play action bomb first play, to be honest.
Yeah, most likely deep shot.
I mean, I'm because I know ECU is going to be geared up to stop the run. It's what they do. So, but this Michigan O-line, man, they got probably the best O-line in the country. Definitely the best O-line ECU will play. So,
yeah.
If it was anybody else, I would feel really good about ECU stopping the run. Just what's kind of your gut feeling on this defensive front? We just talked about them, really good, really deep, holding up against multiple NFL guys.
So the thing about our defense is, and people always say on paper we're not the largest, and the size difference is always what people look at when you stop the run. We move too much.
Yeah.
And the ability to move on the run and kind of get the nose into a 3-tech on the run stops the guard from being able to call out something or catch a twist, and that creates havoc. And the easiest way to kill any zone play is penetration. And that's what ECU's defense does really well is they run over the heels, they get in the backfield, and the cutback kind of takes care of itself when you clean it up with a linebacker or two. So I look for Michigan to try and run the ball early. I wouldn't expect a ton of success early because of that big movement stuff, but if they can figure out like kind of how to scoop that and how to make those checks, it could cause a long game as far as the running game, but also Michigan is not a pass-heavy team in the first place, and J.J. McCarthy kind of showed that last year all the way up until the fourth quarter when they played TCU. Like, let's just run the ball and run the ball and run the ball. And then if Blake Corum's back and healthy, I mean, he's going to be a dynamic guy in the backfield with the ball. So I lean to say that Michigan probably goes run first, but don't be surprised if late in the game they try and be like, okay, maybe we need to start throwing the ball here. Like they're kind of shutting us down.
I remember last year the BYU game. That was the one team that was able to just line up and run the ball consistently on ECU, and they're huge up front.
Yeah.
And I want to say they did some stuff differently, like they came out in the pistol running the stretch, which maybe ECU didn't expect based on prior film. And I'm curious, how much does Michigan run the stretch? Because that's something App has had success against ECU in the past, and BYU has. So I haven't dove into Michigan too much yet, but is that a potential concern if they try to do that?
They're not a huge stretch team in the past. Obviously, anybody can change their identity over an offseason, but normally they're that downhill power O, inside zone, split zone, ISO. Look for some tight end wham coming as far as that goes. Like that's truly their MO, and their bread and butter is to run between the tackles as opposed to trying to get out wide. But like we said, they're inexperienced receivers could be great blockers on the perimeter, which can add a layer to the running game. Look for some slip screen because that kind of feeds off of the running game itself. But they're not traditionally a stretch team. Yeah. Obviously, BYU and App State in the past have been, and that's their bread and butter, and that's what they do to all teams. And East Carolina's kind of just had to play catch-up because nobody else does that in our league and whoever's on our schedule.
All right, let's get our second break in. We'll come back. We'll talk linebackers and secondary as well. You're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern living's best small town.
Just because voice over IP telephones are the latest technology in the telephone world doesn't mean they're the right choice for you and your business. Whether your internet provider is unable to support a voice over IP phone system, or you don't have a need for high-tech features and simply want to stick with a traditional system, Spain Telecom is here to help. Spain Telecom offers a variety of services to keep your business connected and competitive. We're confident we can find the right phone system for you and your business, a system that addresses all your communication needs. Looking for a new phone system that won't break the bank? In addition to new systems, Spain Telecom also offers gently used systems that are in great shape and can save you money. No matter your needs, Spain Telecom has a solution for you. Whether it's voice over IP, on-premise systems, new or used, give us a call at 252-353-2006 and let Spain Telecom help you with your communications needs.
Pizza? Ooh.
Yes. All pineapple.
No.
What's wrong with pineapple on pizza?
I only eat pizza with pizza things.
That makes sense. Pineapple is a pizza thing.
Also makes sense.
Is it though?
This tastes great.
That we agree on.
Let's agree to agree. Pepsi Zero Sugar tastes great.
Can't you just pick off the pineapple?
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
The Pirates play here. Arr! This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igoe.
Yes! That was so good!
On 94.3, The Game.
All right, welcome back into Hoist the Colors on this Joey Football Friday. 8 days out.
8 days out. Joe Greeno.
It's almost here, man. Almost here. We're 1 day away from week 0. Let's have that conversation real quick, and we'll continue our ECU defensive rundown. So tomorrow is week 0, Joey.
Mm-hmm.
And on Thursday's program, Philip, who is producing today, and myself ranked the 3 things we were looking forward to most. And I guess I left out NASCAR. That's my fault.
No, I'm the only one who cares about NASCAR. I was a little upset that you let out golf. I think a lot of our listeners, at least Patrick's listeners, are big golf fans.
There are a lot of golf guys around this area.
Well,
and with it being the Tour Championship this weekend.
It ain't on my radar, so it ain't on Hoist the Colors' radar. So
there you go. Igoe is the show. What Igoe says goes, and I was wrong to question.
Those are the rules.
We're talking Seattle Mariners baseball, only for myself, not for my listeners. I think I know one other Mariners fan in Greenville, North Carolina. So you can throw in those other events if you want to, Joe, or you could stick to the original 3. NFL preseason, week 0 college football, MLB playoff race, which you're a Yankees fan. Maybe kind of low on your list these days. So
very low.
How would you rank those 3 things as far as what you're looking forward to this weekend?
I'm looking forward to Aaron Rodgers under center for the New York Jets on Saturday against the Giants. That'll be an exciting matchup. My brother played at Carolina, so we'll watch Michael Carter run between the tackles and do what he does and just magic with the ball. He's Houdini. So I guess that's 1. 2 is probably college football week 0 because college football is college football.
Yeah.
It's a church in the South. I'm excited to see the Cotton Bowl losers, USC, beat up on San Jose State after losing to the American. That's right. We're back. Former ECU Pirate Elijah Robinson and Hawaii take on Vanderbilt. That'll be exciting. And then, it's going to sound crazy, but is there anything more fun to watch than Navy run the triple option to perfection, like in the first play of the game against some big opponent? Because I can't wait to see them score a touchdown in Ireland off of a triple option, and then all the fans are confused. And then, the MLB playoff race is probably 7 on my list of 3 because the Yankees have been a dumpster fire, a clown show, any possible thing you can call them in the New York media that has been said on the Michael Kay Show or anything else of its subsidiaries. Bad baseball, bad managing, and bad general managing. But that's a rant for another day.
The only thing better than your team being good is hearing your biggest rival with more than a month left in the season say, yep, it's over. I do not have to watch the playoffs this year praying for the Yankees to lose so they don't win their 28th World Series.
When's the last time this
1992, they lost 86 games. That is the last time they lost 82 or more.
Wow. Jeter came up as a rookie, right? Or no, that was no, it wasn't. Somebody else came up as a rookie. They said the other day.
So I'm going to need your Yankees to win some games for the Mariners. They got the Astros, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays, 2 different series against Toronto.
In the most Yankees way possible, we'll probably win 2 of 3 against the Astros, lose all 3 to like the Tigers, and then drop 2 to the Blue Jays just to make it interesting for a half game for you guys. But you're only a game out on Texas
the division,
now all of a sudden. Yeah,
that always,
the Rangers have imploded, and Houston decided to wake up and play baseball again. But
the Rangers have lost 7 in a row and are still in first place for now.
Yeah,
Houston and Seattle a game behind them in the West.
Mm-hmm. Seattle's heating up.
Yeah, Boston 3.5 out of the wild card. Do they have enough, Phillip, to get there? Do you think so?
They're getting healthy at the right time, which is good. They put up 17 on the Stros yesterday.
Yeah,
so
that was good to see.
But I don't know. The good thing is we play some tough teams down the stretch, and Boston plays their competition. They have played horribly against horrible teams this year and pretty good against good teams.
Yeah, they play to their competition. I mean, their relief staff is really their issue. Yeah. And I don't – Corey Kluber's in the back half of the pen now, so I don't really –
No, I think we DFA'd Corey Kluber.
Oh, you did
I don't
DFA
even think he's
him?
on the roster anymore.
Oh, wonderful news, because if not – houses were going to burn in Boston.
Yeah, I think Winkowski is our back half of the pen. But the problem is this team, and he pitches well. When he pitches well, and a couple of those other guys, the team plays well. But the problem is when they're losing, it is always the pen.
Yeah, it's always the pen.
There's some days that they don't hit well, but still, it's like they live and die by the pen.
Yoshida can go 3 for 4, Verdugo can go 2 for 4, and then all of a sudden you guys are down 7-2 because I don't even. Garrett Whitlock has decided to just throw nothing but.
Hey, you can hate on anybody. The Red Sox. Do not hate on my boy Garrett Whitlock.
The Red Sox lineup can mash, man.
They can
when
mash.
They played Seattle, I was like, these dudes can hit. But that bullpen
Masataka Yoshida, the 30-year-old rookie.
They can hit. Week 0. All right, so I mistakenly said this was an error on my part. I said Jacksonville State was an FCS team, which they were. They are now FBS.
Yes.
Did y'all realize that?
Mm-hmm. Found that I had an argument with my friend the other day, actually. We were playing NCAA 14, and they were like FCS generic. And I was like, no, they're in the FBS now. And he was like, no, they're not. They've never been in the FBS. I was like, they moved up this year.
Is there, 132 teams now, I guess?
There's even more than that.
134, I think.
Who else moved up?
Because Conference USA added a bunch of schools. So Jacksonville State, Tarleton State's moving up, and I don't know when, and then Kennesaw State.
Yeah, Kennesaw State moved to
Tarleton
FBS.
State just became D1 like 3 years ago.
Hey.
There's too many FBS
Cream
teams,
rises
man.
to the top.
Yeah.
Tarleton State part of that cream?
I guess.
Nothing but greatness.
What any of these other matchups catch your eye? We talked about Navy Notre Dame. We'll be watching for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, UTEP, Jacksonville State, UMass, New Mexico State, Ohio, San Diego State, kind of a sneaky good game. Hawaii, Vanderbilt. You talked about Elijah Robinson at Hawaii. San Jose State, USC, and then FIU, La Tech is the 9 o'clock game.
FIU La Tech could be one of those games where we turn it on at 9 p.m. and we're like, all right, let's just put it on the background.
Right.
And now we're sweating a 48-45 overtime win because that's just the kind of game that Week 0 turns into. So don't be surprised with FIU's offense. I mean, they've been historically good as far as in Week 1 games against the spread. So they're somebody to watch as far as opening up the playbook early. And then La Tech, obviously, we've known for years has ties to the area as far as coaching staff, and look for them to also be some kind of offensive juggernaut in their conference.
Joe, I do have one question. You mentioned the Hawaii Vanderbilt game.
I did.
Last year, that game, they played Week 0. It was 63-10. If the over/under set at 53, does it get covered this time?
Yeah, I hammered the over.
Okay. No. I'm saying, will Vanderbilt win by more than 53 again?
Ooh, that's difficult to say. I mean, there's a bunch of new coaches now at Hawaii, and they brought in a bunch of different transfers. They're the old staff from Nevada.
Vandy is the only favorite by 17.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a low line for SEC versus non-SEC.
So
but
it should be closer than 63-10 is what we're hoping.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure before I tuned in, and it was 52-7.
It could still be, but it's also Vanderbilt.
True, it is Vanderbilt. How do you put any faith in Vanderbilt?
How do you
any
measure
sport but baseball?
Vanderbilt?
Yeah,
without baseball.
Little Vandy, they got construction going in their stadium now, which is an interesting look. And they always say construction is a good thing, but not really when it's like right behind the stadium as you're playing a football game there.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, let's get back to ECU football, and but nice little break up there. We had like our mid-show like side segment there to kind of reset a little bit. We talked defensive front earlier with Joe Samson. Let's transition now to kind of the back half, and we'll start with the inside linebackers. I wrote an article on Taylor Jackson yesterday, I believe it was, or maybe the day before I published it. Fourth-year guy. He's been behind guys like Bruce Bivens, Aaron Ramseur, Miles Berry, Xavier Smith, and now it's his time, and it feels like he's due for a breakout year.
He's a dog, man. That's the quote right there. Snip it, post it, whatever you got to do. Taylor Jackson's a dog. I mean, he is one of those guys that as soon as he kind of reads the play, he knows where it's going before the running back does. He sees cutback lanes. He understands where the hole's supposed to be. He understands where he's supposed to be to not overrun it. He's just so physically gifted and just mentally gifted as far as just understanding plays and understanding developments and pursuit. I mean, he just runs everything down. So for the Pirate fans that are worried about that, look no further. Taylor Jackson's going to run it down in the back half, and you're going to see him run 45 yards down the field to stop somebody and be like, where did he come from?
And Coach Harrell has talked a lot about Taylor Jackson and Zakai Barker being like the film junkies and the IQ guys.
Z-Bark watches as much film as I did, and that's a lot.
Yeah. And so I feel like those two guys, I don't know, like Zakai was just an absolute tackle machine in high school. Yeah. And I know he messed up his knee last year. He's been a little in and out of the lineup this preseason, but like he's a guy that I don't think is going to get a lot of pub and then kind of come out of nowhere. I don't know if it'll be this year or next year, but I think he's going to be that same tackle machine in time.
I agree. He looked great in the spring when he felt healthy, and obviously you can't put anything too much weight into spring. It's vanilla. You're running base packages versus base formations, but he truly is just all over the field. And you saw, I mean, he made 4 or 5 tackles in the spring game. You're like, where did he come from? And it was the back half of the field. So I'd look for that too. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. It could happen next year, as we said. Could be late this year, like week 8 all of a sudden, and he's just kind of turned it on for everybody and running everything down.
And a couple of transfers added to the mix. Taekwon King, a big kid out of North Carolina A&T. B.J. Davis, a long pass coverage type inside linebacker trying to address last year's issues. He had like 5 picks at South Carolina State last year.
He's a ball hawk.
And then Michael Edwards is a second-year transfer. Came in, we were talking earlier, played Sam, and now has moved inside. So I think all 3 of these guys are going to play. Does anything stand out with them?
Look for B.J. Davis on third downs. Look for a Miles Berry kind of long, lengthy pass cover guy who can line up on the slot, who can kind of fill in those voids where the corners can't play because they're deep, covering a go route or something. He's long, he's lengthy, he defends really well in the pass game. Taekwon King is that downhill guy you're hoping for. He is going to knock your helmet off. He is going to fill every possible power gap you can think of with those runs and all those different things. So I guess that's really it. I don't know too much about Ra from UNC. It'll be interesting to see how he kind of fits into everything. I don't have a ton of knowledge based on what he did at Carolina or anything like that, so I can't give you my take on that.
So Ra, from what I've seen this preseason, he's been basically running as the starting Sam. Him and Kingston McKinstry, a guy who's been in the program.
1A, 1B kind of thing.
Yeah, they've both been repping a lot there. And the way I kind of see it is Ra is more of your pass coverage guy, especially laterally. Like if they're going to try and throw the running back screens to the sidelines or the short stuff to the sidelines, like Ra can erase that. He's a 4-4 guy.
So fast.
And then Kingston's more like a downhill run stopper.
Fill the void kind of thing.
Yeah, so I think those two guys will complement each other well, and then you kind of play matchup ball. Jordan Huff, he's worked at safety. He's worked at nickel. So we'll talk about the safeties real quick. Tegan Wilk and Julius Wood are back as kind of your starters there. And then a lot of depth behind them. Devin King, Omar Rogers, Dontavius Nash, another transfer along with Omar, and then Ty Moss. So I really like the safety group, man.
Yeah, I really do too. I think Julius Woods is one of the best safeties in the nation. I have long said that. I said that since he came in. He is everything and more you want in a safety between coverage, downhill run stop, and just overall playmaking ability. I mean, he is everywhere. He is anything you need him to be. He is everywhere you need him to be. And that's kind of the difference between him and some of these other safeties. It's like he's just where he needs to be at all times. Teagan's a great run stopper. He fills the void really well, which is what we call he runs the alley, kind of stops running backs from making moves in space. He just kind of hits them before they can. I'm really excited about Omar Rogers. He had some great tape at Elon. I mean, he's going to be an older guy who's going to bring some veteran presence into that back half. So that'll be exciting itself as well. Huff is kind of an unknown. He had some great tape at Georgia Tech, obviously got hurt, so we haven't gotten to see a lot of what he can do yet. I know that he works his butt off, and he's worked his butt off in rehab, and he's never been outworked in the weight room, but I don't know how it's going to translate to playing safety as opposed to corner, or what he's going to kind of find his void in this defense.
The good news is you got a lot of bodies back there, so you can kind of rotate them in and out depending on the situation. Corner, I've heard a ton about Siobhan Revel this offseason, 6'2", 180, played special teams last year, played a lot in the bowl game. So the corner room has basically been entirely reset. I know Revel and Isaiah Brown-Murray are back, but they didn't really play a whole lot last year. Malik Fleming's gone, Jawan Powell's gone, Pre Washington's gone, Demel Hickman's gone. Steve Ellis and his barking is gone. And the Shark mentality, I guess, is gone. I haven't heard a whole lot about the Sharks this offseason.
No, it's not a ton of Shark mentality. I mean, obviously, the OGs know that the Sharks never die. That's what Ellis used to always tell us. Shark stops swimming, he drowns. But the new corner believes in the seatbelt. Maybe I'm not hip enough to that. I mean, I know a little bit. Yeah, it's a seatbelt, like you're strapped.
Okay.
Strapped up. So that's the new thing they'll do, and these guys kind of live by that. I mean, Isaiah Brown-Murray is going to be one of those guys to kind of take that next step, and he covers really well. He plays in your hip pocket, as we like to call it, so he's half a yard behind you, knows if you're coming back to the ball, if you're dropping out of the ball, where you're breaking. Siobhan Revel's a long, lengthy corner, and we saw that a little bit in the bowl game. Like, he's just deflection city. I mean, you throw something that you think is a safe ball for a receiver, and he's got 4 fingers on it, and now it's on the ground. There's a couple unknowns with those two as far as that goes. And then we've got 2 or 3 corner transfers. I mean, Jonathan Jones is going to be a huge asset from Campbell. Played a good bit. He's long. He's lengthy. He's fast, man. Like, he's fast. Like, he just moves well. He's quick. He's twitchy. And that's what you need in that cornerback room, playing some of these faster receivers in the American. And then, obviously, we know that Tamir Brown came from Carolina, so he can be somebody also who can kind of spell those two that have been here. And Isaiah's a little bit of a shorter corner, so you can put him at nickel and some goal line stuff and kind of get Tamir out there and play with a little more length.
I think Tamir is going to play. I'm interested because they've been working Jones and Revel at boundary corner. And to me, like, they may be your 2 best cornerbacks. Do you want to split them up on game day? We'll see how they approach that. I know, again, it's kind of interchangeable, and we've seen that in practice. So the other guy to watch for, Antoine Jackson, again, 17-year-old freshman, but I've heard he's a pretty good coverage corner. I don't know if you've heard anything yet. Just any expectations for a 17-year-old freshman?
I've heard some flustered receivers just in my my conversations and such. He's a gifted guy. He's got great coverage skills, as you mentioned. He's a great man coverage corner, which for those of you who are watching at home is a little different than zone, because you kind of have to play the mirror, which is what Coach Lynch used to always refer to it as, is you kind of drop and watch their hips and see when they sink, if you sink. And it's very difficult to do. So to be 17 and the age he is and kind of have that frame set and that knowledge point where he needs to kind of, okay, this guy's breaking here, I need to match, is really good for him, and he'll kind of develop more and more. I don't expect him to be a huge component of the defense early on, but look for him to spell some people in some games and kind of get some more experience, maybe some special teams and stuff, and let him develop.
I think he's one of those guys, he'll play in spots early in the year, and if he makes a play or two, then
you decide.
I kind of look at this corner. We'll take a quick break in a second. This corner room, to me, I see more man coverage potential if it all breaks out. I know Siobhan Revel's been playing more man. Like, in the past, ECU's played a lot of zone on the back end.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be able to do some different things. Just your thoughts on that, if it works out to where they think they can play more man. How does that affect the defense?
Coach Harrell loves to bring pressure, and when you bring pressure, a lot of times you have to play man in that back half because you're kind of down a man or kind of what you'd want to be if you're dropping 5 instead of dropping 6. And that's really where Harrell kind of finds his bread and butter. Is if he can play 4 in the back half and man and blitz 7. I mean, it's hard for a quarterback to get the ball off anyway, so there's not a ton of huge chunk play opportunities for them. So look for them to kind of bring even more pressure than he likes to bring, which is wild to say for a Coach Harrell defense, but that's going to be the kind of consequences, I guess is the best way to put it, for other offenses, is if you can let them play man on you, you're not going to throw the ball on your back.
All right, let's get our final break in. Joe Samson, Joey Football Friday, Stephen Igoe here. We'll be right back. Hoist the Colors, 94.3 The Game. Yeah, I almost feel like if they go, they're going to have to put
Fifth Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous Fifth Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights. And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib. Fifth Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
Tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You can't name a lot of things that I didn't do. It's like a paper, like a book, not a Kindle. You outdated, I'm the one they getting into, and I don't break a sweat. Let's get it, 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 let's get it. Child, please, I don't need a towel, please.
Are you game day ready? Anson Belt, the official belt of ECU Athletics.
Are you ready for a digital hair color revolution? The Color Master Factory by Chi and LG. A masterpiece of innovation, unlimited color formulations, limitless possibilities, long-lasting color. Chi.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igoe on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Got a few minutes on this Friday edition, wrapping up the week. It's a Joey Football Friday. I almost forgot our lock of the week. We got to review last week's. Somebody had anytime touchdown, Holton Ahlers, Keaton Mitchell, and I think it busted.
It did bust. I believe in the boys, but it did bust. So good thing I'm not a bookie.
Hey,
not
we're
offering betting advice.
But if you've learned anything from playing football, if you get knocked down, you get back up and try again.
Back up.
So we're going to try again. I went with the safe lock of the week that it would be a much cleaner, perfect scrimmage, and it basically sounded like it was. Quarterbacks bounce back. A lot of, I think Coach Houston referred to it as a clean scrimmage, nice clean scrimmage.
Favorite word to describe scrimmages. Nobody got hurt. We got what we needed to get done. Clean.
No big turnovers. At least we're told. We're all locked out. So Joe may have the scoop, but he's not telling me if he does. Our lock of the week is presented by Anson Belt and Buckle. Are you game day ready? Visit ansonbelt.com/ECU and check out their great collection of holeless belts, including ECU officially licensed buckles. Anson Belt and Buckle, the official belt of ECU Athletics. We just saw the sweet Mason Garcia Anson Belt commercial, so check that out. It's on Instagram, on Garcia's Instagram, along with Anson Belt. So got a couple minutes left. My lock of the week is Jacksonville State in their first game as FBS will beat UTEP.
Okay.
That is my week 0 lock of the week. This is somewhat impromptu because we did not rehearse a lock of the week, Joe. So give me yours if you got one.
My Anson Belt lock of the week is going to be Louisiana Tech wins and the overhits.
There you go. Louisiana Tech FIU. He's expecting points. Next week, next Friday, we'll have our lock of the week, and I guess we'll try and make it East Carolina related. The real question is, are we going to pick ECU to cover the Michigan spread? I think it's like 35 now, and maybe I'm being a homer, but I think the closer we get, the better I feel about ECU covering. I don't know if you have any early thoughts on the game yet.
It's still too early to tell as far as the offenses go, and the Harbaugh situation will be its own kind of caveat to see how it plays out late in the week.
Right. So we'll have some thoughts there next week. Again, we got Cliff Godwin scheduled for Wednesday, working to get Macy O'Donnell on. We got the coaches show, which will not be a part of this show. We'll have it at Tiebreakers on Monday night on 94.3 The Game at 6 o'clock. Myself and Patrick Johnson will be hosting, talking to Coach Houston on Monday night, so tune in for that. Well, our newest weekly segment with Joey Football, 2 weeks in, you still have a job.
Kicking.
Still have a job. So you'll be here next week, man, but I appreciate the insight. I know we've gotten a lot of good feedback. A lot of people love this stuff, so looking forward to the season, man. Almost here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That is Joe Samson. Philip Pilkington has been producing Behind the Glass. Appreciate Philip. I'm Stephen Igoe. We'll talk to you next week. This has been Hoist the Colors, 94.3 The Game.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igoe. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back Monday with more of Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Had a colonoscopy? If you're between the ages of 45 and 75, you need to be screened regularly for colorectal cancer. Dr. Philip Goldstein at Carolina Digestive Diseases and Endoscopy Center wants to keep you healthy. Dr. Goldstein provides treatment and quality care for all GI needs. Just call the office at 252-758-8181. Appointments are always available within 5 business days.
Hi, this is Dr. Philip Goldstein reminding you that a colonoscopy can save your life. Visit our website, cddgastro.com, and come see us at Carolina Digestive Diseases.
Hello, this is meine Auto. Und this is meine key. And there is only one place I trust with meine key. Meine key car care.